Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Clipboard Confessional with Bobby and Anthony. I'm one of your hosts, Anthony Aniana, and joining me again today, like he has throughout the summer, my partner, colleague, and soon-to-be fantasy opponent, Mr. Bobby Wow. Bobby, how are we? What is today? August 16th, 18th, August 18th on the date of this recording as the summer days blur into one another. How are you today, my friend?
Before I answer that question, what is your favorite weekend of the year?
Well, I know what yours is because of your attire. It was 4th of July. My favorite weekend of the year. That's interesting. Probably Memorial Day weekend.
Okay, that's a good one. That's up there for me. July 4th is definitely up there for me as well. But no, sir, this weekend is my favorite weekend of
Why
the year.
this weekend?
It is well, first off, it's the National Fantasy Football Draft weekend.
Yes, that's true.
But it is also my League of Record draft.
Oh,
I'm headed to Dallas Thursday afternoon. It's going to
this is
be a
the big one.
Thursday night.
This
This
is
is
the
it.
give the one guy too many PBRs, and
Yes,
he's drafting Travis Kelce in the first round. This
that's it.
is the one.
This is it. We got guys flying in from Seattle and Maryland, and we're all meeting in Dallas, and it's going to
You
be
drafting
awesome,
at
buddy.
someone's house, or you're doing something
Actually,
on location?
so this is, I think, the only the second time because we do destination drafts. The second time we've drafted at somebody's house. Normally we rent an Airbnb and in a pick a city and head to it. This one is my buddy lives in Dallas, so we're heading to his house. He's got an in-ground pool. He's got cornhole ready. He's got it's ready to roll, buddy, and I am pumped.
So let me ask you this: so you go down what day? Thursday?
Yep,
When's the draft?
I fly out Thursday afternoon, drafted until Saturday.
Oh, it's a lot
I
of
hit
pre gaming. That's a
that.
lot of pre gaming. If
Yeah, and
I
actually,
don't get a picture of you being possibly having to be rescued from the pool in a adult beverage stupor, there's part of me that will be grateful that you're okay. Don't get me wrong, but a little disappointed that it didn't take a turn there, my friend.
well, we also got we have a challenge. Two of our guys,
The families don't go with you, do they?
nope, guys only,
Nope,
buddy.
nope, 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 nope.
I know. And two of our guys, they get a little big for their britches sometimes when it comes to competition, and they have challenged me and another one of my buddies to a basketball game. So I have not played pickup basketball in
That sounds like an Achilles tear waiting to happen. That's what that
I mean,
sounds like.
probably since college. It's probably been 20 years close to it that I've played a pickup game of basketball, but I have absolutely no doubts that me and my teammate are going to smoke the two guys that have challenged us. So I'll
No,
keep you updated on that.
absolutely. Um, this is a legitimate, this is a fantasy question too, besides the good time. And I like to do this with you because fantasy football is supposed to be fun, right? There's a lot of people who it's all business all the time, and that's fine. I get a paycheck from it from working with SiriusXM and Rotoballer, but it's also supposed to be fun. I'm hosting my long-standing league a week from Thursday, the 28th of August. Same deal. My backyard, food, drinks. It's a one night affair, though nobody's traveling from out of state like yours is. However, I got to ask this, and then, how do you guys establish your draft order?
So
Anything fun?
that is not as fun. We used to come up with ridiculous nicknames for us and write them on ping pong balls and throw them in a dryer. But we have this digital like racing thing. I don't know. The commissioner finds it somewhere. It's like last year was a horse race, and my horse tripped and fell right out of the gate. And so I ended up getting like last to get my pick. And then this year we did an like these digital football players are racing, which is so silly. If I need a real race, I'm doing a good job. I've been putting in years and hours at the gym to keep myself in shape. I need a real race, but
You want to run?
yeah, man,
I have
it's
guys in my
terrible.
league who want to do that. They want to do like a draft combine, and I'm like, listen. I said most of us are. I may be the oldest guy in the league at 52. Um, everybody else is in there. I go, guys, this is like 10 torn hamstrings waiting to happen. So
Or
last year I set up the cornhole, and everybody got 6 tosses. Most points wins down the line, tiebreakers. And then what we did, whoever had the most points didn't necessarily get the first pick. They got to choose their spot.
that's how we do it.
And now this year, I saw a game. I got to go get it. It's a golf game. It's like a putting game
Putter ball.
where, what is it?
Putter ball.
Is
It's
it with
like
the three
palms.
nets, a 1, 2, and a 3, and you got to putt
Oh,
into one of 2 of 3? It's almost, remember skee ball? Like when you
yeah,
go to
yeah.
the arcade and see skee ball? It's like that for golf. You putt into the net, the more points you get. Kind of the same idea. I'm thinking along those lines. The problem is I'm terrible at golf, so I may have to cheat a little bit, go buy it tomorrow, give myself a week and a half to practice in the backyard, and then surprise everybody that day.
So non-fantasy related, I also host something called Dad Games, and that'll be we'll get into that on another show. But I have something called Putter Ball. That's one of the events for Dad Games, which is
What
it's
is
basically
puttable?
so you remember some people, college people, maybe they might play a game called beer pong.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
I was
it's
very good at it.
similar to that, except there's a long putting green, and you each stand on one side of a putting green, and you putt your ball into an empty hole, and that's how you score points. But
Hmm.
there's whole setup just like beer pong. Look it up, putter ball. It's good.
All right, I may have to check that one out too. All right, I got a week and a half. I got to figure that out. There's no names being drawn out of a hat, or in your case,
Yeah,
drawn out of the dryer, which is fantastic, by the way. Completely underrated move by you guys, I must say. But that being said, it is fantasy football draft season. It is that time. And in case you've been following us all along, we've previewed the positions: running back, wide receiver, quarterbacks, tight ends. We looked at rookie running backs. Last week, we made a whole bunch of predictions for the NFL season, Super Bowls, division winners, wild cards, individual awards, all of that. This week's a fun one. And this one is I give Bobby all the credit for this week's topic. He wants to talk about boring, not necessarily bad, just boring players. Players who are going to give you points, players who are going to be in your lineup each and every week. But at the same time, there will be no oohs and ahs from the table when you make that draft pick. It's ho hum. You go, I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it. And next thing I know, I'm getting 15, 20 points a week from said player, right? Towards the end of the show, we'll also run through some players maybe we are avoiding at each position as well. So don't mistake this. We don't hate them. We just think they're boring. They're not sexy like Bobby and I. They're just boring, and there's a
yeah,
big
right.
difference there. So that being said, we're going to go round by round. I will start with you, my friend. First round, 12-teamer, some general IDP here. Who do you find as the boring pick who's currently going in the first round this season?
So I don't think he's boring. You don't think he's boring. But when you look at the back-to-back overall wide receiver 3, and you tell me he's going at pick 11,
Yep.
barely a first round pick, that's going to be boring for most folks. And that man is Amon-Ra St. Brown. This dude is an absolute monster. He has one of the highest floors of any receiver in the league. We mentioned before he's probably not going to get you wide receiver overall 1 numbers, but the fact that he has been so productive, he was overall wide receiver 3 2 years in a row. He's wide receiver 8 the year before that. This guy gets it done every single year. I don't know why people aren't excited about him. I don't know why they think he's a boring first round pick. I would love to have Amon-Ra on my team.
I think the reason people find him boring is I don't think he will never have could he be the wide receiver 1? And I think that's what makes him boring. Like Jamar Chase is not boring because on any given week, Jamar Chase can go for 250 yards in a game. Right? Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, of course.
I don't think Like Jamar Chase can win you a game. He can win you a week. I don't know if Amon-Ra St. Brown is winning you a week, but he's never losing you a week. You're going to put him in your lineup, put your head on the pillow. He's going to give you 20 points, and that's going to be the end of the conversation with Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's clean, he's cut, and that's it. Now, mine in the first round, I wanted to get your take on this. I think Puka Nacua is boring. I think Puka's boring. And I love Puka. But again, will he repeat what he did as a rookie? I think that's a legitimate question. Last season, he was hurt a little bit. He's going at the tail end of the first round in most leagues. And is he exciting? Like, if you're sitting there and you draft Puka Nacua, are you slapping high fives and feeling good about it, or are you taking a safety net pick? I think Puka's more of a safety net pick. What do you think?
I agree. I do. I don't think he's exciting at all. I also think he's pretty darn scary right
Ooh,
now because
okay.
Devontae Adams comes into town, who, Cooper Kupp was in town too, and Cooper Kupp's not what he used to be, but neither is Adams. But Adams is a touchdown machine, and now we have this Matt Stafford back deal.
He
What?
is back at practice, though, finally.
I
But that
know,
could come back at any moment. Back injuries are scary.
I know, and it's scary. Puka scares me a little bit, but yes, I do agree that he falls into the boring category.
Yeah, Puka only 9 touchdowns in 2 years, 6 as a rookie, 3 last year. But again, remember, only 11 games. All right.
And he was exciting last year. Last year he was an exciting first round pick. Right? He was just coming off the wide receiver 4
Yeah.
rookie season. He was exciting last year. And this year's going like the same spot, but it's boring.
Yeah, I agree. What about your second round boring player?
I got my man Jonathan Taylor. He's going about pick 18 ADP. I feel like he's like the most quiet RB5 ever.
Yeah.
Nobody talks about him like he was the RB5 last year. He only started 13 games, 1,400 yards, double-digit touchdowns. Uh, Again, you're not going to be super pumped. You're like, oh man, please let Taylor fall. Please let Taylor fall. But if he gets to you, you could certainly do worse. His offense is going to have to rely on him yet again. He was 6th in red zone touches last year, 4th in breakaway runs. You could do the wear and tear argument with him. Throw the ball a ton in college, throw the ball in the NFL. And I know he's not the healthiest guy out there, but if the dude is on the field, he is going to score some serious points for your fantasy team.
Now, what's funny is back in 2021, right? That was his monster year, 1,800
Yep.
yards, 18 touchdowns, 106 yards a game. He wasn't boring then, right? He was exciting. Jonathan Taylor was the first round pick the following year, probably in 2022. 2022, 2023, injured last season in only 14 games played. 14 on the good side of 1,400 yards. He had 11 rushing touchdowns, 102 rushing yards a game.
Per game. Yep.
And he's
That's
going to
10.4.
slide to the second round. And he's going to slide. And why is he sliding to the second round? Because he's not sexy. He's not exciting.
So
He's ho-hum.
we mentioned Amon-Ra and how consistent he is. Jonathan Taylor only scored single digit points 3 times all season last year.
Yeah.
I mean, that's super consistent. He had an 88% opportunity share. I'm That's number one in the league, buddy. That's more than Derrick Henry.
Yeah. Well, that offense is going to need him again. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Right. We know that. My second round boring player, and he's going in the second round, and I've actually taken him in the second round out of Atlanta. Wide receiver Drake London. I feel like we've been waiting for Drake London. Will the Drake London experience happen? Well, it did happen last year. 100 catches, almost 1,300 yards, 9 touchdowns. I draft him in the second round. I'm not giddy over it. He's safe. He's Amon-Ra St. Brown the next round. And there's concerns, right? Michael Penix, what happens in year 2? Are you, and I guess that's my definition of boring, and I guess everybody has a different definition of boring. If you draft Drake London in round 2, you feel good about it, but you're not thinking to yourself, league winner. And I guess that's my definition of boring is he's not my league winner, but he's safe and he's in my lineup every week.
I'm pretty excited about London this year, and that's because I think we talked. I think it was last week. I'm a little bit higher on Penix probably than most. You know that when in Penix's three starts last year, Drake London was the wide receiver one in all of football. He was on
Yeah.
pace for like 2,000 yards with Penix
Are you
chucking the
concerned
ball.
about Bijan more and more this year, though, or is this just becoming a very good offense with players all around?
So I think the offense will be improved. Um, and I think Bijan being good actually helps London because
Yeah.
the they have nobody else to throw the ball to. I mean, maybe you want to count Kyle Pitts in there. I don't. That's
Oh
up to
God.
you. But they don't have another wide receiver on the team that's worth any of the defense's attention. So if the defense has to pay attention to Bijan, that should theoretically open things up for Drake London a little bit.
Yep. Yep. Round three. What do you got?
Round three, I have my second wide receiver, and that is Garrett Wilson. He's going at pick 34. So again, this is end of the third. Nobody likes him. I mean, now he has underperformed, I would say, every year he's been in the NFL. Um, and that's he was wide receiver 11 last year. But it's like, oh, this guy's he's terrible. Justin Fields can't throw him the ball. Nobody cares that he's had almost a probably averaging what almost 160 targets, 155
Yeah.
targets a year in 3 years. Nobody cares about that. Fonte Adams is gone. They have no one to the second best pass catcher on the team is a running back, and nobody seems to care about it. And I'm thinking if I can get Garrett Wilson as my wide receiver too, my gosh,
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. My boring wide receiver, T. Higgins in round three. Beautiful offense. I mean, he's not even the wide. He's being drafted as a wide receiver two in fantasy, and he's unlike Garrett Wilson. He's not even the wide receiver one on his own team. And here's the thing with T. Higgins too is 10 touchdowns last year in only 12 games. That's a nice number. Now he has to stay
Oh,
on the field. He hasn't had 1,000 yards since 2022, but he's got 34 touchdowns in 5 years in the league. He's essentially 7 touchdowns per year. But again, he's not Chase. He's not Lamb. He's not Jefferson. He's not Tyreek Hill, right? Tyreek Hill, you might not like Tyreek Hill. He may be on your avoid list, but he's not boring, right? Because Tyreek Hill at any moment could go for 175 and 3 touchdowns. T. Higgins, at the end of the day, at the end of a Sunday, what's he going to give you? He's going to give you 5 catches, 80 yards, and based on last year's pace, a touchdown. And again, it's that 15, 16 points. And T. Higgins, I might even avoid him in the third round simply because he's just not as sexy and as exciting, I guess, as some other players. Like I would think Garrett Wilson, he's even T. Higgins, I take as more boring than Garrett Wilson.
mm. As far as points per game go, where do you think T. Higgins ranked last year?
Top 15.
How about number four?
Stop. Really?
Yep. Half point PPR. It was Chase at 20 points a game. Chris Godwin at 16, Justin Jefferson at 15.6, and your boy T. Higgins at 15.5, which was just above our guy, Amon-Ra St. Brown at 15.2.
But then don't you that confirms how people think he's boring, that he's going in the third round,
Yeah,
and
I
yet
mean,
points
right.
per game are there.
So what if he played on, I don't know, I want to say the Colts.
Put him on the Raiders. He's a second round pick.
There you go. Perfect. That's where we want to go. The Raiders second round pick. You know what? I can buy it. Yeah, I'll buy what you're selling.
Put him on the Raiders.
Yeah.
Make him the wide receiver one there. He's Geno Smith's go-to. Jacoby Myers goes back to being a true wide receiver two. Brock Bowers is there. Bowers and Higgins are his top two options. T.
Genty, let's come
Higgins is
on.
a second round pick.
Call your boy Pete Carroll. Let's get this thing going. I'm
Yep.
excited for that.
Picture that wide receiver in that offense, and that
Yeah,
offense looks a
okay.
whole lot better.
That does make it because of how excited I would be if he went to Las Vegas. That shows how boring he is where he's currently slotted.
Yep.
I like that.
Round four. Who do you got?
Chuba Hubbard, buddy, picked 45 in ADP. It was RB 12 last year in points per game. He's I think he's going to get bell cow work again. I know they brought in Rico Dowdle, but is Dowdle any good? The Dallas Cowboys have one of the worst running back situations in the league.
They
Dowdle
do have
just
that.
got him 1,000 yards on the ground and they let him go. I mean,
Yeah.
he certainly wasn't that expensive. They didn't want to keep him around. He got what he get double digit touchdowns last year. Me personally, I'm not going to be excited to draft Chuba Hubbard, but I'm going to love him as my RB2.
See, it's funny. I feel the same way about my guy, and that's Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara is my next two picks are veteran running backs who we've seen the best of and are now just safe play RB2s. And that's why in round 4, Alvin Kamara to me is boring. Besides the fact that I think that offense is going to be painfully boring. Alvin Kamara, again, a player in round 4. Like in round 4, I'll take the flyer on a Travion Henderson, or I don't think Amari and Hampton will be there in 12-team leagues, but a Travion Henderson type I would take before I take Alvin Kamara. Why? Because, Travion Henderson is the great unknown, right? And I think that's what prevents somebody from being boring is when there's untapped potential and all sorts of speculation of how good they're going to be. Alvin Kamara, we've seen the best, we've seen the worst, and we'll settle for something in the middle out of Alvin Kamara. And that's what I think makes him kind of boring in the 4th round.
Top 10 overall running back last year, RB6 in points per
Okay.
game.
But remember one thing about Alvin Kamara as I sit here and I pull up his game logs. He had one game last year that essentially carried his season. Okay. I sit here. I knew this was going to come up. I was ready for this. Alvin Kamara in week 2. Do you know how many times Alvin Kamara ran for 100 yards last year?
Oh, dude, maybe once or twice.
3.
Okay.
Week 2, 100 against at Dallas. The Saints won 44-19. He went for 115 on the ground and 3 rushing touchdowns and 2 catches for 65 and a receiving touchdown. So the guy put up essentially 180 yards and 4 touchdowns in one game. The rest of the season, he had 3 rushing and 1 receiving touchdown. He put up 4 that game, and he had a combined 4 for the entire rest of the season. You remove that game, and his numbers are very, very pedestrian. 87, 77, 26, 40 and a touch. Against Denver, 7 carries for 10 yards. He went for 155 against Carolina and 112 against the Rams rushing. Okay, but understand that. 6 rushing touchdowns, 3 in one game, 2 receiving touchdowns, 1 in the same game. So there was an outlier there, and the rest of his season was very, very boring, to be honest.
So do you want me to draft him or no? Yeah, I thought you wanted me to take him, even though he's
Yeah, I
boring.
guess I
But then
think
you
he's
just ripped
boring,
him.
and you can make a case that I think he's A, boring, and B, a player to avoid. I guess I just made a case for both.
Okay. You gotta make up your mind, brother. I don't know what to do now.
Yeah, I'm both. I'm both. I'm not drafting him because he's boring, and I'm not drafting him because of the reasons I just told you.
It's RB6 in points per game.
Yeah, skewed because of that week 2.
Okay. All
There
right.
you go. All right, what do you got in round 5? I got another
Round five.
boring running back. I'm telling you mine. I'm on a roll. Round 5, I'm saying David Montgomery. David Montgomery, another boring plotter of a running back. But the reality is game by game, he may end up with more carries every week than Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, Gibbs is the opposite. Gibbs is as sexy as anybody could come on the football field. Right? Let's acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Gibbs
For
is
sure.
sexy as hell. Montgomery's boring, but he's going to get you touchdowns. He's going to get you carries each and every week. Who do you got? Or what do you think of Montgomery?
I love that for a boring pick. And I can tell you that he was certainly in my queue, if you will, for coming up with my most boring players. And it's crazy because, I mean, that dude he is either gets or is on pace for double-digit touchdowns every year in this offense.
Yep.
And it's when you can get me almost a touchdown a week, I mean, that is about as safe as floor as you can get. So I love that one. My guy is, I think he's less boring for you and I, but I think the world finds him boring since he's all the way down to pick 50, even though he was wide receiver 13 last year. And that's our guy, Cortland Sutton,
Yeah.
Denver's wide receiver one, Bo Nix's go-to guy, second air yards and eighth in red zone targets. I mentioned this before. I don't know, even know when we talked about him, but Bo Nix really didn't get rolling until about week 8. And from then on, Cortland Sutton had averaged 15 points per game, which was wide receiver 7. So, I mean, he is the wide receiver one on his own team. He's the
Hmm.
go-to guy for a quarterback on a great team with a great defense. So I don't know why he slept on so much, but and the way my team is rolling right now, he's my wide receiver 3. Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
please and thank
That's
you.
that's a talented player who slipped because he's not a sexy name.
Right.
All right, round 6. I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah, please.
There's a running back in the NFL, starting running back, who over the last 3 years has rushed for over 1,000 yards, and over the last 3 years has a total of 20 touchdowns. Yet he's not going until round 6 in current ADP. 1,000 yards a year, 20 total touchdowns over the last 3 years. Want to take a guess on who you think that round 6 running back is?
Well, he's not my guy. My guy doesn't have those kind of stats. My guys, because I have a running back as well. The opportunity share is great. Um, ooh, I'd have to look at ADP. Would that be
He's
cheating?
replacing a he replaced a legend when he left his original team to sign where he signed now.
He replaced a legend?
Yeah. And I think that's why he's boring.
I don't
Tony
know.
Pollard.
Okay. All right. So that is my guy. I didn't realize Pollard had 3 consecutive seasons of 1,000 yards.
Yep. In
So,
2022 with the
all right.
Cowboys, 1,007 yards rushing.
Okay.
2023, 1,005, his last season in Dallas. And then last season in Tennessee, 1,079.
So forgive me for thinking he got
It's a 1,000.
5 yards to one. I know you're right. You're right. That's also my pick. But last year, if you look, he had 1,300 total yards.
Yep.
He was
And he
running
had
back
five
21 last
rushing
year.
touchdowns. I mean, 41 catches
Mhm.
last year. And he's going around 6. Now, again, he's not going to go off. Like, I don't think he gives you, like that Christian McCaffrey, monster go off ability. The guy only had 3 100-yard games all season last year. His season high 1 game rushing total was week 8, 28 carries for 128 yards. That's it, right? Like, you want you want your guy to occasionally bust off a 140 or a 150 game. Pollard's not doing that. But at the end of the day, 82, 62, 88, 93 and a touch, 61, 94, 128, 119, 102, 45 and a touch. And if you think Cam Ward makes that offense better, he's a very underwhelming pick in round 6.
I love that I'm staring at the answer. I had the answer, but I didn't think it was right.
That's
The,
great.
the
That's
thousand and
great.
five yards and 1,007 yards really, really threw me there.
All
Um,
right, so we agree on round 6 boring. What about
yeah.
round 7?
So round 7, I'm going to go with one of the onesie positions. I'm going with tight end Mark Andrews. And the reason I think, as far as tight ends go, I don't know that he's boring. But the reason I think he's boring is when you're sitting there in round 7, the only reason you pick him is because you hate the wide receivers and running backs that are available.
Yep.
I mean, you look at the names there and you're like, gosh, I just don't want any of these guys. So I don't know. I guess I'll just take Mark Andrews. Like that's how that's going to go in your draft. I've done several mocks, and that's exactly what happened to me in my mock drafts. I end up with Mark Andrews. At the end, I look back and it's like, yeah, well, I didn't want this guy. I didn't want this receiver on my team. So it started off super slow last year. Gave you 2 goose eggs. Was it week 2 and 3? I think zeros in both of those games. But after that, his yards a target were the best since his rookie year. His efficiency numbers were great. Isaiah Likely's maybe he's going to get back. and play week one? We don't know. So Andrews probably going to be the go-to guy for Lamar Jackson. He's great in the red zone. So going to be a little bit boring for you. You're going to pick him because you kind of feel like you have to, but it could pay off.
Round seven. And again, this is a boring player, but he's also a player I don't love this year. Debo Samuel,
Yeah,
boring.
that's right.
Going to
Right.
Washington is boring. Terry McLaurin's playing again. Like Debo Samuel is boring to me because they don't use nobody's using him the way they did in that magical year in San Francisco back in like 2021, where he was like a running back as well. He had 8 rushing touchdowns that year. Now, who knows what Washington's going to do? Who knows what Washington's offense is going to look like now, right? You're hearing the rumors that Brian Robinson is getting traded any minute now. They held him out of practice today, and the rookie is going to take over there. And so who knows what that offense, maybe Debo Samuel gets more involved in the run game. And if that happens, then he's not so boring, right? He's a little more exciting. But, and you look at Debo and you go, is he injury prone? Well, the reality is he's played 15 games, 3 of the last 4 years. He's on the field. He's just a boring player now compared especially to what he was a few years ago when he was one of the more exciting players on the field.
So let's do a quick timeout and let's talk about that Brian Robinson thing because he could have easily been the boring pick for this round, right?
And
And so,
I had him and I pivoted away because of this news that he might be getting traded.
right. So it may turn one boring player and one undrafted player into one exciting player and one possibly exciting player, right? This if they trade him away to the right team, um, there's an opportunity
Where do you
where,
want to see him go?
dude, I just got the information. I haven't had a
Can you
chance
see
to
him in
look, but
Houston?
yeah, but then that kind of what happens when Mixon comes back?
Hmm.
I don't like that for Mixon comes back because then we don't like anybody. Um,
Okay.
Let me look around here. I'm checking out these teams. I mean, what about Cleveland? We have no idea what's going on with your boy Quinshon Judkins.
Well,
I
he's
mean,
he's he's legally cleared, but we know that's a different animal than the NFL.
yeah, but they can't come up with a contract. He's still unsigned. They can't
Yeah,
come. I just read it right before we got on the air. They can't
which seems
figure it out.
crazy. That kid's just got to get in camp.
How about Dallas?
That makes sense.
Too much sense, right? So there's no way it's going to
But
happen.
is he Javante Williams? Is he just like another plotter like
Yeah.
Javante? Just a younger. He's just and I don't even know how much younger he is. Is he a younger plotter than Javante Williams?
Yeah. What's going to happen is look at all these teams and be like, oh man, it would make sense maybe for the Cowboys. It would make sense for Cleveland, but he's going to go somewhere that doesn't make any sense, and it's just going to muddy waters and ruin what you think you got. Like if Green Bay or somebody, since Marshawn Lloyd can't walk down the street without pulling a hamstring, like
Yeah,
they're going to get Brian Robinson and he's going to get every third drive and it's going to just deflate Jacobs' value while Robinson still doesn't have any. That's what's going to
yeah.
happen. I
Like
hate it, but that's what's going to
now,
happen.
what are you doing with the rookie, the 7th round pick, right? Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. Are you hoping you could get him round 8 to 10?
Maybe. Or what if we take Chris Rodriguez in round 13, right before you take your kicker and your defense? Because that dude's been with the team for what, 5 years now, probably. He knows the offense. He's shown some success in very limited action. But who's to say Krosky Merritt was what, a sixth or seventh round pick? I know he's getting hype. I
Yeah,
know he is, but he's going against second team,
he
third string.
is.
He's running with the ones in practice. I don't care. Running with the ones in practice is not running with the ones in week one as a
Yeah.
rookie, late round pick. Um, and I just,
Heck, Washington can trade Robinson and lean on Eckler for the first couple of weeks until they feel the
I
kid's ready.
know. Yeah, it's true. Very true. It definitely moves Eckler up at least a round or two.
Yeah. Yeah. It should be interesting.
You know what's going to be? It's going to be boring.
That's for sure. And suddenly yeah, I mean, there's a lot of weight on the shoulders of Jaden Daniels in that Washington offense. Let's just say that. A lot.
Oh, so maybe if someone predicted them not to make the playoffs, it might be sounding a little better.
It could be. It could be. If he has any type of sophomore slump, they're in trouble.
Yeah, big time.
All right. Round 8. Is that what we're up to?
We are, sir. I got another wide receiver for you. Wide
I
receiver
have one too. Who's
40,
yours?
43. Wide receiver 43, according to I use Fantasy Pros like composite ADP. I like him a lot. I drafted him in our dynasty league, and that is Mr. Ricky Pearsall. I don't
You
know
think he's
why.
boring? I think he's exciting as hell this year.
I think he's exciting. Okay, you're right. Wide receiver 43, a wide receiver 4 is an exciting pick.
Fair.
If he was exciting, I have him as a top 30 guy. He's creeping in to the 20s for me as far as my rankings go. So he's going to wind up on quite a few of my teams. And I like him outside of this year as well. Obviously, well, that's why I took him in the Dynasty League. But they got no one to throw to outside of George Kittle as of right now. Everybody, if you're a wide receiver and you're in San Francisco, you're hurt unless your name's Ricky Pearsall. I mean, literally, that whole wide receiver room is hurt. And Jacob Cowing, nobody even knows who that is. He's hurt. And I mean, his biggest competition for wide receiver targets is Jawan Jennings or Brandon Ayuk, who might be back by week 6 coming off a torn
Yeah.
ACL. I don't know how he's so low. He's barely squeaking in the top 100 picks. It seems wild to me. But if people were excited about him, he would definitely be going earlier than he is.
I agree. Um, with some of it, I do. I think a year from now, though, I think a lot of people will be excited about Ricky Pearsall a year from now.
I agree, as they should.
Now, my guy just had his first 1,000-yard season last year.
Like that.
Had his most catches and most targets he's ever had in his career. Yet, Jacoby Myers of the Raiders is still going in round 8.
He's he's the most boring guy in the
Isn't
NFL.
he?
Yeah.
Like, like, like again, if I guarantee you on Saturday when you're sitting around and doing your draft down in Dallas, somebody's going to draft Jacoby Myers, and someone else at the table is going to make fun of him for drafting Jacoby Myers
As
because
they
that's
should.
how boring Jacoby Myers is. Am I wrong? Tell me I'm
Dude,
wrong.
no, outside of week 18, when hopefully your fantasy leagues are done, he scored 23 fantasy points. He never scored 18 at all throughout the whole year.
Yeah,
Not once. Now, granted, he had one, two, three, four, five. He had like 7, 8 double-digit games, which is, you'll take that from your flex position. But my gosh, is he boring.
boring, 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 boring. Round 9, my first quarterback in round 9.
Wow. Look at you going early on a QB.
Round 9, my boring quarterback, Dak Prescott. Boring,
Not for
boring.
me, man. I know. For everyone else, I love him.
Yeah, I could draft him in round 9. I feel pretty darn good about it.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
he's been around. People look at Dak Prescott and say there are sexier picks earlier, or there are equivalent picks also right there or later. And Dak Prescott is Jared Goff. He's not going to run. But at the end of the day, there's going to be 250 yards and 2 touchdowns just about every single week, even more potentially considering they don't have a run game and they added George Pickens to complement CeeDee Lamb. But he's going to sit there in round 9 and people are going to be bored by him.
If I told you that Dak Prescott at the end of the year was going to outscore Baker Mayfield, you would say,
Not surprised at all.
right. And he's going 32 spots after Baker.
Baker's fun.
Right. And
Baker,
Dak is
if you're watching Red Zone, you are glued into Baker with 2 minutes left, slinging the ball for a comeback. Baker's fun.
Meanwhile,
Baker
Dak's been
is fun too. Don't underestimate that. There's a story with Baker that's fun. Yeah. Whereas Dak's just, rolled into Dallas, became the starter, blah, 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 blah. Kind of like Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's become boring too.
Let's not forget that Dallas had the 31st ranked defense last year. So Listen, Baker's trying to come back in the last 2 minutes. Dak's been trying to come back for the last 2.5 quarters. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? At fantasy, we like that. My guy, super boring, Khalil Shakir. Probably the number one wide receiver in Buffalo. They have an amazing offense. He had 100 targets last year, 28% target share, which is great. Um, I mentioned he's never had a 20-point fantasy game in his career, but with my makeup of my team right now, he's what, my wide receiver five?
Mhm.
So if my wide receiver five can play every single week in a Josh Allen led offense, I'll take that in a heartbeat. He's only playing if somebody goes down. And if that has to happen, you could do far, far worse than the snooze pick
Yeah.
of Khalil Shakir.
Yeah. I agree. And I think I think Keon Coleman ends up being the guy who emerges, but Shakir, pretty safe, nice little safety net there in Buffalo.
Now we did, I think we mentioned this. Khalil Shakir, or I'm sorry, Keon Coleman did have what, 20 some catch, 29 receptions or something last year.
Keon Coleman is not boring, though. He's somebody you're excited you get because you think he has upside.
You you said that just right because you think he has upside.
That's what you got. Because
I know.
You want Keon Coleman to become the guy so that you could take the victory lap at the end of the season. That's what you want to do when you draft
That
Keon
is
Coleman. Nobody's
that is
taking a victory lap over Khalil Shakir or a lot of these players we mentioned.
perfectly said.
My final round, I did 10 rounds.
Hmm?
What if I told you this guy is going to be the starting running back for his third team in the NFL, and he's still only 27 years old?
Okay, I thought we were going to do it again, but we're not. I'm positive this is not the same guy again.
Well, my guy is J.K. Dobbins.
Ah,
Round 10. I got him in Scott Fishbowl in round 10. Anywhere I've gotten him has been round 10. And, you know, as a rookie, he was the best running back on Baltimore. Then in 2022, he was the starter until he got hurt. Last year for the Chargers, Gus Edwards, people thought it was going to be Gus Edwards. Guess what? It was J.K. Dobbins. He played 11 games, healthiest he's ever been. Chargers aren't overly enthralled. They probably found him boring. They move on to Amari and Hampton because they don't want boring. They want sexy. And now J.K. Dobbins goes to Denver. And here's the funny part is that he's the second running back off the Broncos team being drafted. Yet he's the starter. Why? Because RJ Harvey, the second round pick, is the sexier player, right? The great unknown. All right. That's why people go and explore caves. They don't know what's in there. You don't explore an open meadow because you could see what's in front of you and all you see is green grass. You explore a cave because it's dark, it's creepy, and who knows what may bite you. All right. That's why you don't draft J.K. Dobbins till round 10 and you do draft RJ Harvey. He's the great unknown. There's upside. Yet at the end of the day, J.K. Dobbins, at least in the beginning of the season, is going to be the feature back or at least a 50-50 timeshare for the Denver Broncos. Go.
I don't
And
know how I'm supposed to.
the caves and the meadows. You know I'm
Yeah,
right.
Liz, you're on fire today, buddy. I got no caves, I got no meadows, but I have the same argument. I also have a running back who is the starting running back for his team, and yet nobody cares because he's so boring. The rookie running back, the Travion Henderson, everyone is super excited about. Ramondre Stevenson's still the guy, and he's looked good in the preseason. Not that we care too much about that, but he didn't look like the plotter that he looked like last year. He fumbles a lot, and so everyone hates him. But look, he's is the starting, probably the goal line back as well for the New England Patriots. You think that offense is going to be a little bit more improved. Josh McDaniels in town, Drake May's second year with the squad. So I mean, I'm glad to have him as my or my running back four on this team.
Yep, fair enough. I know you went a little further. Real quick, who were your last couple of boring players?
I went round 11. I went with my quarterbacks. Take your pick, Jordan Love or CJ Stroud. They're, I mean, going to picks 121, 127. They are 1 year removed from being stud fantasy quarterbacks. And then round 12, I said, how about Jerome Ford? We already mentioned about Quinshon Judkins. Who knows what's happening there? Jerome Ford's another starting running back. Granted, not a great offense, which is why he's all the way down in round 12. But you get a starting running back for a team in the double-digit rounds. I don't care how boring it is. Sign me up for that all day long.
Okay. I agree. Boring, but usable players. Now, real quick, with a few minutes left, let's talk about some players we want to avoid. I am going to give you my avoid team. I have a quarterback, a running back, wide receiver, tight end. I'm going to give you my avoid team, and then you can argue with me and I'll defend my picks. My avoid quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. My avoid running back, Achane from the Dolphins. My avoid wide receiver, DK Metcalf. And my avoid tight end, Brock Bowers.
I'm sorry. My first round pick in our dynasty league, Brock Bowers.
I'm not counting tight end premium, just standard PPR format. And I will tell you why Brock Bowers is my avoid.
Yeah, it was rubbing me the wrong way, buddy.
I apologize. And it has nothing to do with Brock Bowers, the player. I think he's a beast. I agree. He's the best tight end in the league. I'm not even stupid enough to try to argue with somebody over that. The price you have to pay for Brock Bowers is just too high for me. I'm not drafting a tight end. Even if he doesn't go in the first round, he's going in the top 12, top 15 picks. Anytime I've ever in the past took a Travis Kelce, I made that mistake. I took Kelce in the first round at times in his prime. And I felt like the rest of the draft, I was playing catch up.
Yep.
I was chasing other positions. I was not in control of my draft at that point. In terms of now I was being controlled and I had to go out of my comfort zone to get players to fill positions. Whereas if I the running back, I take the wide receiver, and I take that tight end, that Mark Andrews that you mentioned earlier, who will give me good enough numbers to keep me in the game. I feel like I control the rest of my draft a little bit easier. That's why Bowers is somebody I'm with.
I'll play devil's advocate for all your picks. Not that I necessarily disagree, but like with the Brock Bowers thing. Now, granted, I would never dream of taking him at the tail end of the first round unless it was a dynasty draft and I can lock in a positional advantage for
And then
5,
premium.
6, 7 years.
An animal too. Either one of those.
Yeah. But I mean, what if I told you he dominated last year and all of a sudden now he has a much better head coach with one of the most accurate quarterbacks in all of the NFL over the last 2 seasons? Geno Smith is far better than whoever was throwing him. Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew. I mean, that's backup city. And he's, catching balls from them. And now he finally has a running game to take some of the heat off. Dude, but I do agree. I do agree with the draft capital deal. I won't be getting him on any of my redraft
Who's your
teams.
Quarterback?
My quarterback? Baker Mayfield.
Do you trust Patrick Mahomes this year, though? Or do you trust Mahomes more than Baker?
I trust Mahomes more than Baker this year because Baker became Baker last year. He hadn't done, last year was a career year by a ton. He had the most touchdown passes by 13, the most yards ever by over 450. His touchdown percentage was 1.6 higher than it's ever been in his whole life. It's not happening again. But let's not even talk about the rushing, where his whole career's averaged 10 yards rushing a game. He averaged 22 yards a game last year. That's an extra 1.2 points a game. It's nothing to be scoffed at. That's just running the football. Patrick Mahomes has a history of doing it before. If they can get a healthier receiving core, I think Mahomes, obviously his ceiling is higher than Baker's. And word is they are doing everything they can to have a more explosive offense. I think they found if they come up short anywhere on the football field, it's with explosiveness in the offense, and they're trying to push for that. And I think that obviously would help Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes, I want Patrick Mahomes to be Patrick Mahomes,
I think we all do deep down inside.
right? But right now, unlike in years past, it wasn't too long ago that if you drafted Patrick Mahomes, or at least if I drafted Patrick Mahomes, I didn't draft another quarterback. Like there was no way Patrick Mahomes was ever coming out of my lineup. I'll worry about the bye week when the bye week happens. This year, if you draft Patrick Mahomes, you're drafting another quarterback just in case Patrick Mahomes and that Chiefs offense does what it did last year, which was be less explosive. The reality is they still haven't gained the explosiveness back that they had when they traded away Tyreek Hill. That's just the bottom line on that. So that's why he's a void. Achane for me is too small. He's injured. He's already hurt. I just feel like he's just not built to be a 3-down back in the NFL. And DK Metcalf, my wide receiver, for all the hype he's gotten, DK Metcalf has never had a 1,000-yard season. And he's going to Pittsburgh that's going to try to run the ball first. And how much faith do we have in Aaron Rodgers? So DK Metcalf is just somebody I'm not interested in. But I do want to hear your avoid list now. So go for it. Besides Baker,
Devil's advocate for you with Tua in, Achane averages over 20 points per game. And with DK,
that's a lot of wins.
I know. No, I agree. I'm just doing devil's advocate here. Achane is lower on. I'm lower on ADP on him than everybody else. But and then when we're talking about DK, wide receiver 1 for Aaron Rodgers on a team with no other pass catchers, your next best pass catchers, your tight end Pat Freiermuth. That's not exciting at all. If DK and Aaron Rodgers can get on the same page, it could be pretty exciting. But my running back player to avoid, you talked about him with your boring player, and that's RJ Harvey. That dude is going as RB20 in ADP. He's he's my running back 31. I wasn't a huge fan of his tape coming out. I understand why some people liked it a little bit more. But if he was the guy, why did they go out and bring in your boring guy, J.K. Dobbins? If right, so everyone's like, okay, well, I guess RJ Harvey will be the pass catching back. I don't know, maybe not. J.K. Dobbins can be the pass catching back. So we don't really know who's going to do what. What role is he going to have? There's a good chance that RJ Harvey's going to take a little while to get rolling. And if that's the case, there's no way that he is going to pay off at his RB20 price tag. It's just that's not going to happen. And when you draft, and no matter who you draft, when you draft them, you want them bare minimum at the worst to pay off where you drafted them. And I really struggle to see how RJ Harvey even forget surpassing RB20, but even gets to RB20.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And then a wide receiver for me, I'm going to give you one, and then I want to get your thoughts on another one. But I have JSN, ADP wide receiver 14, and he's dropped some. I mean, a couple months ago, he was a wide receiver 1 for a while. I have him as wide receiver 21. He had a nice, a decent rookie year. And then he had a nice breakout year, but DK left. Well, that's good, but Cooper Kupp's in, and now he doesn't have that wide receiver that complements him. He has a wide receiver that, hey, we kind of do the same thing. We're in the same areas of the field. We both work out of the slot. That team was 7th in pass attempts last year. The Seahawks were. They were 29th in rushing attempts. That ain't happening this year, buddy. There's no way they're going to run the ball at the 2019 clip. What'd you say?
Do you trust Sam Darnold?
I'm not sure I trust Sam Darnold that much either. So there,
he had such a great year, but remember, he faltered down the stretch and in the postseason, right?
Oh,
it was a year, but at the same time, like I feel like Sam Darnold is a do it again, improve it spot for Sam Darnold. 2 QB formats. I'm getting Sam Darnold as my 3rd QB.
I don't hate that for sure.
I don't hate it, but that just tells how little people trust him. that they're
Yeah.
not even drafting him as a second quarterback in two QB formats. Coming
And
off
so
the
that
he was starting in 12-team leagues.
and so that guy is going to be on a team with an offensive coordinator that just wants to run the ball. They weren't even a bad team last year, and they fired their OC because the head coach wants to run the ball.
Yeah.
My tight end we don't have to talk about is Jonnu Smith. He's tight end 11.
I mean, you wanted to get my opinion on.
Yeah, I'm going to, but I just want to get past Jonnu Smith so we don't have to talk about him. He's, he got Pat
I don't
Fryermuth on the team.
expect him to repeat what he did last year, right?
Right. It's not going to happen. So Travis Hunter right now, wide receiver 31. Okay. I have him as wide receiver 48. So that means
For going as a wide receiver 3,
zero percent chance.
receiver 4. If
Okay.
Travis is playing in a flex position for me, I feel better for that than if I'm using him as a regular wide receiver week in and week out.
Agreed. First off, we don't know what his usage is going to be on offense, right? We don't know how much this team's going to be throwing the ball. We don't know how many targets are going to go his way. Even if he plays offense 100% of the time, we don't know what that looks like for him, right?
Thomas. So
What's that?
he's still the wide receiver 2 behind Thomas.
Oh, yeah, correct. And so when it's time to draft him, you have to take him over guys like Jalen Waddle, your boy Stephon Diggs, Jerry Jeudy. There's no way I can pull that trigger. And then let me give you a scenario that I haven't heard anyone say. What if Jacksonville loses a corner? Injuries happen. You look at their depth chart. What makes more sense for that team? Who cares about fantasy?
Right.
What makes more sense for that team? Do they want to play Monteric Brown, a former 7th-round pick, or DeAndre Prince, a sophomore 5th-rounder? Or do you think they're going to flip Travis Hunter, let him be the other starting corner? He might be the best corner on the team. And then have Parker Washington come in and fill in that wide receiver 2 role. I've seen Parker Washington be pretty good on a football field at times. I've seen Parker Washington make a play or two. I'd never heard the name Monteric Brown or DeAndre Prince, maybe in my life.
Yeah.
So you draft him as a wide receiver 31, and by week 4, that dude might be playing defense full time. It's just that pick right there really blows my mind.
I agree. I'm just going to pose one question to you, and then we're going to wrap up.
Yeah, let's do it.
Staying with Travis Hunter.
Okay.
If you were in a league that will award
deep gosh.
Now you got to do a uniform, right? It can't just be for Travis Hunter. And I've seen leagues that change it now. That everybody gets points for a tackle. Everybody gets a point for an interception. So, for example, you're starting wide receiver, tackles a player off of an interception, you get a couple of points, whatever it may be. Obviously, it is this rule. These leagues are changing this because of Travis Hunter. The opportunity for interceptions, tackles, the 2 biggest things. And who knows if the league put in passes, defended, all sorts of stuff you could do. But we'll keep it the simplest level. Tackles, interceptions. Okay, defensive touchdowns. How high do you put Hunter, knowing he, more than anyone else on the board, has the ability to get you points from both sides of the field?
I am okay with him at wide receiver 31, if that's what you're asking. Because then that takes away a big argument that you have with what if he only plays defense? Well, I know corners don't score a lot of points, in most leagues, most IDP leagues. But if he's doing that, I mean, let's just say he gets 3 catches for 44 yards, but then he also gets 3 tackles. I mean, now, right. So now you're okay.
14-point game.
Right. So now you're okay as your wide receiver 3 or your flex.
Fair enough. All right. There you go.
Well done,
Bobby,
sir.
Always, my friend. We will be back next week as we get closer and closer to the fantasy football season. If you haven't heard of the Clipboard Confessional with Bobby and Anthony, and this is the first time watching, we thank you. Make sure you go back and check out all our positional previews. our preseason prediction. I have some ideas for next week. Bob and I will talk about them. We can have a little fun with that.
Like
And
sounds bad.
and we draft Bob's going away. Bob's out of town.
Yes.
We need pictures.
Yes.
We need videos. We need we need a full like what needs to happen is next week on this clipboard confessional. And I apologize for anybody who's over religious, but I need to be in a priest collar, and Bobby's got to actually sit through a confessional and let us know what he did with the boys down in Dallas for 3 nights. Sure, the wife and kids are out of the they don't hear him. A confessional is a safe space for Bob, and we are getting his confessional next week. I cannot wait. You know what? We'll also take a look at your draft as well. That could be a lot of fun too. We'll break that down. So, Bobby, my friend, good times, and have a good time in Dallas this weekend, my friend.
It's on this weekend, buddy. You're the man. Thanks.
All right, take care, everybody. Have a good weekend.
See ya.